What up, Chris? It's Jack Michaelman here, and I am a huge sports fan, so I cannot wait to listen to 30 Minutes Live with CDP every Wednesday and Friday night at 8:35 p.m. East Coast time, talking all the sports, hockey, baseball, football, basketball. If they're playing it, you're talking about it, and I'm listening to it. And you know what? I hope I get my Canada fix because I can't go across the border, so I want that sweet, sweet maple syrup coming in through the airwaves. Love you, buddy. Thanks for reaching out. Happy cameo.
Hey, everybody, it's your bro, Chris, CDP, on this Friday, March 12th. I'm just waiting for my guest from CBS Sports Radio, Amy Lawrence, coming on. And like I said, she was kind enough to come on tonight. So I really appreciate it. And this is Amy right here. And she is one of the longtime hosts of After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. So you guys can check her out Monday to Friday from 2 to 6 a.m. overnights on CBS Sports Radio or their CBS Sports Radio app. And Amy is a huge Denver Broncos fan too, by the way. So, and she likes NASCAR too. So anybody here likes NASCAR, Amy is a NASCAR fan and her Denver Broncos. So I just really appreciate Amy coming on tonight. So anyways, guys, like I said, just bear with us, and Amy should be with us shortly. So I'm just really excited about having her on because she's been doing this for over 20 years. And like I said, she's done a lot of stuff, play-by-play, and then she was with ESPN Radio originally, and then she joined CBS Sports Radio a couple years ago. So actually 8 years ago, 2013. So anyways, guys, like I said, just bear with me, and Amy should be with us shortly. I sent her the link to my broadcast. So anyways, guys, before Amy comes on, I'll just, some NFL news today. New England re-signed Cam Newton for 1 year, $14 million. What do you guys think of that? And Tampa Bay extended Tom Brady's contract now, I believe, until 2022. And then yesterday, the Buffalo Bills re-signed linebacker Matt Milano to 4 years, $44 million with $24 million up front. So the Buffalo Bills look like they're going to be able to get under the salary cap and keep their core in place. And Tom Brady's going to be with Tampa Bay until at least 2022. So he'll be there at least a couple more years. And Cam Newton, I guess the Patriots figured it's less of a risk taking him than bringing somebody else in. So to me, it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to stay with the 49ers with them keeping Cam Newton, because I cannot see them now trading for Jimmy G from San Francisco with Cam Newton there. So we'll see what happens there. But anyways, guys, like I said, we got some and we got March Madness going on. Michigan won today, so I'm happy. The Wolverines advanced, and I'm going to have to check out more games this weekend as well. So I'm looking forward to having March Madness, and we'll see how the Michigan Wolverines do. So anyways, guys, like I said, I came on a bit early, so just waiting for Amy to come on. But like I said, guys, if you have any questions for Amy, please feel free to ask her. Like I said, she is a NASCAR fan, and she loves all the the top four sports, and she's a huge Denver Broncos fan as well. So like I said, guys, we'll see what happens there. But you guys can tune in to After Hours on CBS Sports Radio with Amy on Sunday to Thursday on Pacific time, 11 to 3 a.m. Pacific time, or on the East Coast, Monday to Friday, 2 to 6 a.m. And you can also call her show as well. And she takes callers and stuff like that too. So, like I said, guys, I've got some more guests coming on next week, and probably in the next couple of days, I'll announce who they are. So I just want to say thank you to all the guests that have come on the last 3 months. It's been great getting 2 to 3 guests on a week and talking to different people in different in sports and other industries and that too. So anyways, guys, like I said, just before she comes on, you guys can check me out on Facebook, my sports blog page, which I update constantly, on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, and if you want to, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Chris Palme, which I'm up to 16 subscribers now. And you guys, if you want to email me, there's my email address as well. So anyways, guys, bear with me, and hopefully Amy will be on very shortly. Just going to check my email and see if everything's good. I sent her the link. So, yeah, it's just a matter of just to be a minute or two, and hopefully we'll have Amy on. And like I said, I'm looking forward to talking some sports with her and her long career in radio. And she did play-by-play for in Connecticut, I believe, for 6 years for ladies basketball as well. So I got to ask her how she liked doing play-by-play for professional sports team and stuff like that. So Amy's one of the pioneers in sports talk radio for women as well. And I had one of the other ones on a couple weeks ago, Julie Bueller. So Amy's definitely a pioneer in the radio sports talk for women. So, and like I said, she's got a great show, and I really enjoy listening to it when I was working overnights. And she does have a podcast and all that too. So I should put up her. One sec, guys. I'm gonna put up. Let's see. She does have a website. Yep, I'll put it up. Oh, there she is right now. Just one sec, guys. 1 second, and I'm gonna bring her on. Hello, Amy. How are you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me and see me okay?
I sure can. Hi, Chris.
How are you today?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's good to talk to you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because the last time I thought I could get you on with Facebook audio, but apparently Facebook audio only allows the host to talk and can't add guests. So I learned that night.
Well, you know what? I hate Facebook, so this is fine.
Yeah, so I use StreamYard now. So StreamYard is like Zoom, but it's great. I can do stuff with my podcast, put graphics and everything on here and stuff like that. So
awesome. Now you are speaking from Toronto. Is that where you are?
Outside of Toronto. I'm in a city called Guelph, which is about an hour from Toronto and 2 hours from Buffalo. So
wonderful. And your mom is doing well this week?
She's doing well, yes. And after I'm done with you tonight, I'll be going to get her some pizza.
That sounds like it's perfect for a Friday night.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and it's my weekend too. So, but like I said, I really appreciate you coming on here tonight.
Of course.
So, anyways, I was going to say there was some NFL news today too. I guess New England re-signed Cam Newton for 1 year, $14 million, and then Tom Brady restructured his contract.
Well, in the case of Tom Brady, it's just about him having the flexibility to keep playing, right? The man is never going to retire, ever. And so I think we're going to see him play until he's 50. But this new contract extension with the Buccaneers at least allows him to play until he's 45, currently under contract until 45. So I think it's just another way that we've seen Brady give his teams, first the Patriots and now the Buccaneers, flexibility. He doesn't care about being the highest paid, which is one of the reasons why his teams keep winning Super Bowls.
And I was going to say, technically he should be getting $50 million a year, but he really wants to win. And like I said, I'm an Eagles fan. I didn't like Brady, but he is the GOAT, and what he's doing is amazing. I don't even think he's human.
No, he's definitely human. He's certainly spent millions and millions of dollars to take care of his physical body and the prep and the work he puts into it. He also makes a living on not getting hit, right? So if he got hit as much as, say, Carson Wentz, or if he got hit as much as Russell Wilson, he wouldn't still be playing. But he is wise. He's a grizzly veteran. He understands that the key to his longevity is not just about staying in physical and mental shape at the top of his game, but it's also about not getting hit. And so he's got a game that's designed to get rid of the ball quickly, to not get hit. I mean, let's be honest. The guy's in his mid-40s now. If he got hit as much as Russell Wilson, he wouldn't still be playing.
Well, I know football has changed a lot too since the 70s and 80s. Because I remember Jim Kelly and Joe Montana, John Elway, those guys would be fair game, and the NFL, I guess, has made it a little bit safer for the quarterback. So the game has changed a lot. It has sort of protected the quarterback more than it did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Agreed. The game is now designed and tailored to not just extend the longevity of quarterbacks, but to in the immediate foster offense, to allow for the high flying trapeze acts. It's designed to foster movement and high scoring games. And we've seen quarterbacks routinely go over 5,000 yards. It's no longer an aberration. You see guys do that every year. You see the numbers for receivers go up, 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 up. And so the investments in quarterbacks is actually not as scary anymore. And while freak injuries can happen anytime, the fact that you've got rules that really don't allow you to sack a quarterback with any type of ferocity, yes, it does extend the lifespan of an NFL QB.
Definitely. So, anyways, I'm going to start asking you a few questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. First one I was going to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Amy?
Well, that is a wide open question, Chris. What would you like to know? Are we talking about personally, professionally, mentally, socially, emotionally?
Okay, I see your point there. I see your point. I guess professionally and just how you got into radio, I guess, and did you grow up loving sports as well, or did you get into sports later on in life?
I grew up playing sports, and so I love to play them. I never was really into watching them as much until I discovered the Boston Celtics in the late 80s. And also I fell in love with the excitement of the NFL one Sunday in the late 80s when John Elway led the Denver Broncos on a 21-point fourth quarter comeback against the Patriots. I knew nothing about football. I didn't know the rules. I didn't understand what I was watching, but I knew the excitement and the adrenaline, and I could hear the excitement really emanating through my TV as I was watching this football game in New England growing up with my stepdad, my brother. And so I decided I was going to be a Broncos fan at that moment because what I watched, what I witnessed was a rush of adrenaline. So I became a Broncos fan, again, knew nothing about football, played basketball through high school and college, played softball for years and years and years. And so I really enjoyed playing more than watching. But when I was growing up in New Hampshire, we were out in the boonies. We didn't have cable TV when I was younger. So the only way that I could follow my beloved Celtics on a nightly basis was to listen to the play-by-play on the radio. And that's when I became a radio junkie. It's always been that way since I was 16 years old. I started telling my friends that I was going to be the first female Johnny Most, who at the time was the iconic broadcaster for the Boston Celtics on their radio network. And I fell in love with the idea that you can describe the action on the court, the field, the ice. You can tell a story in such a way that it's gripping and it's compelling, and listeners don't feel like they're missing anything just because they can't see it with their own eyes. That's what I love about radio, is that you are the eyes of the audience. And so as I say, I fell in love with it when I was 16. At the time, I was thinking about going to school, first the Naval Academy. I started to apply for that process through the Naval Academy in Annapolis, then decided, you know what, I really think I want to be a radio broadcaster. And once I caught the bug and went to college, got my communications degree at Messiah, which is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, went on to Syracuse to get a master's in TV and radio. By that time, I was hooked, and it's all I've ever wanted to do. People ask me all the time, Chris, do you have a backup plan? What else would you be doing if not for radio? I have no idea. Maybe I'd be coaching, teaching. My mom's a teacher. She's still teaching full-time at 75 years old in Texas now. And when I was younger, I hated teaching, but I've kind of discovered an affinity for it. Also have coached at various levels along my career path. So maybe I would be doing that. But honestly, this is my calling. It's my mission field. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Well, and like I said, I'm almost 49 now, but a couple years ago, I got a taste of doing camera work for a TV company here for hockey games, and I loved it. And I got to be a part of a team and a part of a broadcast. And I've always loved sports. I've always been passionate. And now I've decided, even though I'm 49, this is what I want to do. Age
has nothing to do with it. Don't even mention your age. Who cares?
Okay, okay. I'm trying to be the underdog here because, like I said, I'm a Philly Eagles fan, so I like being the underdog. But this social media platform has been great because I started my podcast 10 months ago. It was kind of a plain basic one with my sports memorabilia show, and then I came up with my name. CDP's my initials. 30 Minutes Live with CDP. And this is something I've always liked doing. And I grew up in the 70s listening to radio for baseball, hockey, like you did. And this is something I'm really passionate about. And I really want to make a career in radio broadcasting.
Awesome. Well, you have the ability now to plug in a computer and a microphone, and as you have pointed out, to get on the digital information superhighway and to get your voice out there and to practice. And I would say that's the number one thing, is to practice. I remind myself every night when I do a show, if there's one person listening or if there's a million people listening, it doesn't matter. I still have to do the same quality. It's about investing in your craft and about practicing and getting reps. And so, yeah, it's a good opportunity to be able to do something from your home without having to have an actual radio entity hire you or a TV broadcasting network hire you. You can practice on your own time, and sounds like you're invested and you're having fun with it.
Yes, I definitely do. And then I've had guys off Cameo and Memo do promotions for me. Like, you got to promote yourself. So I'm learning all this new stuff too, to promote myself and all that. And StreamYard is great too. It's been a blessing. One of my friends, a Philly sports guy, got me on here. But like I said, I still have a lot to learn, and I've been getting
we all do.
Well, and I'm even looking at maybe going back to college in September for a radio program course here, which is 2 years.
Oh, fantastic. Well, definitely it's good to hear from others who've gone before you, who've spent time in the business, who can kind of teach you some of the tricks of the trade, but also can help you to hone your style. But ultimately, people can teach you semantics, what works for them, how to speak, how to frame a story, how to write for broadcasting, if that's what you choose to do. But it has to become your own. You have to form your own voice. You have to understand your audience. You have to know who it is that you're talking to, and you have to be able to entertain. And those are all things that you learn, all tools and talents that you develop only by practicing. It doesn't come in a classroom, though that can offer you a framework.
Totally agree. And a couple of the guys I talked to, I didn't think I'd have a chance in heck of getting them on here, but I had Bob Sochi and John Murphy from New England and Buffalo, and they were the nicest guys. I felt like I've known them for years talking to both of them.
Yeah, there are a lot of good people in this business, and I think people appreciate interest. They appreciate requests. I know that I appreciate persistence because that's the type of broadcaster I am. Just having the opportunity to interview Sarah Thomas a month after the Super Bowl, where she made history as the first and only female official ever to work the NFL's championship game. It took me over a month to be able to get her number, track her down, communicate with her, schedule with her personal assistant. But ultimately, it was all worth it. And so I think persistence is important as well, whether it's persistence in chasing your dreams or whether it's persistence in, as you say, trying to get interviews for your podcast. And that will give you an opportunity to practice your interview skills. So it all comes together, Chris.
Definitely agree with you. One thing I do agree, what I try to do is I'm persistent, but I try to not to bug people or be too pushy. I just tell them what I'm doing, like yourself, Amy, and send an email or contact them on social media. And then I'd like to give them a couple weeks, ideally, because everyone's schedule is different. And hopefully they contact me, and majority have contacted me back.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you have set up a good pattern, and now you've got some momentum for your show.
Yes, I do agree. Like I said, I was going to ask you another question too.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to talk a lot. So,
well, that is a skill that you need if you're going to work in radio.
Definitely. My next question for you, Amy, is: did you have a mentor in school or when you first started out in the broadcast media industry?
I did not have a mentor in the field. No, there aren't many women who do what I wanted to do. And so while there were different hosts that I listened to, there weren't as many in the sports industry. And certainly to have someone to help bring me along, there was no one who looked like me or sounded like me or even had the same goals that I did. It's changed some now in sports radio, but as you notice, there are still very few women who host their own shows. The only one who does it nationally 5 nights a week. So it's still rare that you have a woman who drives the bus, so to speak, and has a show that's named after her. And so there weren't any mentors per se, but I did have at Syracuse University an advisor. He was wonderful. He believed in me before I even understood what that meant, before I even had any idea what my career would look like or how I would shape it or the path that I would start on. He already believed in me and had big dreams for me. And when my confidence waned, he was always there to boost me back up. And he was straight with me. He helped me to understand my mistakes and how to fix them and how to continue to practice and to build my talent. He pointed me in the right direction. But ultimately, what really mattered is that he had big dreams before I even knew what that meant. And so it was really important to have a couple of people along my path who had been in the business before, who could kind of guide me and share their wisdom and experience with me. And that's so important in any industry. It's so important in sports to have someone that you can ask questions of. And he was always that for me. So I miss him dearly. He passed away a few years ago. We continued to keep in touch even after he retired. And he went into woodworking, which was really amazing. He would craft children's toys, and he was so talented and so patient in so many areas. I wish that I could talk to him now. I wish that I could even now bounce ideas off him as the industry changes again and again. Seems like every month, every year, there are more cuts, there are more twists and turns. The media business itself has changed and morphed so much away from traditional radio and TV and more to streaming and online services, though there is still a market for traditional radio, and I love that, but I miss him. I wish that I could talk to him about the different curveballs and challenges that have been thrown our way in the business over the past 5 and 10 years.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, he was wonderful. I'm so thankful I had the years that I did to spend with him and to pick his brain.
And that's what I've been trying to do with all the guests I've had on here. And I've had a lot of sports guests, but I've also been getting guests from other industries too, just to spread my to branch out a little bit too. And
Good.
and I like and I'm always curious, and I like to learn new stuff every day.
That's perfect. And all of that, whether it's life lessons, whether it's sports education, whether it's about practicing your radio skills or your TV skills, your writing skills, reporting, storytelling, all of that is so important. And we do all of that in our daily lives. We communicate, and ultimately radio is another form of communication.
And I was telling my other guests a couple of months ago too, 10 years ago, I didn't even know what Wi-Fi was. So in the last decade, I've learned a lot of stuff, and I didn't even know what StreamYard was until a couple of months ago. So yeah, every day is a learning process for me.
Absolutely. I think that once you stop learning or stop caring enough to learn, then you will quickly become irrelevant or get bypassed in the business. And I think that it's that way in any industry, in any corporation, especially now when you think about the challenges for our economy and for business across the globe. But even in the United States, just an example, I heard on the news this week that the movie theater industry has absorbed losses upwards of $4.5 billion in the last 12 months. It's been 12 months, and companies and businesses and industries are just starting to emerge and try to figure out a path forward. There's finally this glaring white hot light at the end of the tunnel, which is amazing. But there's so much work to be done to get back to the point where companies can bring their employees into the office if they choose to, where they can go full speed ahead, where who knows, they can start to invest money and give raises as opposed to cutting back and making cuts. And so every business and every industry is in that same boat, which is why you have to constantly reinvent yourself.
definitely totally agree with you that. And Canada obviously is not as big as the States is, but what affects you guys affects us over here too. And I was telling my friend the other day, I think the movie theater days might end up like the video stores. Everything's going to go to live stream.
Oh, I think there's still a market for movies. I think we as Americans, and I hope you as Canadians, love to go to the theater, especially for some of the big blockbuster movies. Star Wars, for instance, not the same on the small screen, so much bigger in high def. Or if you think about the 3D element, I love that. Daniel Craig, James Bond movies, I've just watched all of those over the course of the last couple months, and I wish I had seen them on the big screen. There's one more to watch on the big screen. How about the new Tom Cruise movie that's coming out in the Top Gun franchise? I absolutely have to see that on the big screen. So I think there is still a market for that. People love to go to the movies. They love to get out and have a good time. But I think you're right in terms of how we consume our videos, how we consume TV and movies. There is obviously a market for that at home too.
I do agree, and I miss going to my sporting events. I miss going to the movie theater and having my $10 popcorn and stuff. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So, okay, my next question for you: have you ever? I guess what was your first radio job, and did you do any work in TV yet?
I have done work in TV. I'll answer that one first. I don't enjoy it. Still being on camera makes me nervous. I get sweaty. I don't enjoy camera. And there's a couple of reasons why I'll never jump to TV. There's not nearly as much freedom in TV. It's much more packaged. You're really restricted and constricted by time. And with radio, I appreciate the freedom and the creativity. I like to take the scenic route. I like to tell stories. I like to go off on tangents. And so all of that is much more available in the radio format. But also I appreciate the fact that as a female in radio, it doesn't matter what you look like. It only matters what you know, how you can entertain, how you engage with people, how do you connect with people, how do you keep them coming back. So it's much more about your personality and your knowledge and not about what you look like. And I recognize for males, it's not the same challenge, but in TV, there's a lot of younger women who are beautiful and coming up behind you and will easily take that job from you. And so you can get replaced a lot more. I do basketball play-by-play on TV. It's a new skill that I'm acquiring. I've really missed it this year with some of the changes and how basketball's been affected. Sports have been affected by the pandemic. But I am learning how to do play-by-play on TV. It's completely different than working on radio. And so it's a change for me. It's been an acquired skill, but I'll never do TV full time unless something really changes, unless God offers me this opportunity that I don't see coming. But I prefer radio. As for I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to answer your first question, which was about my initial job in radio. I worked a lot of internships when I was in school, but my first commercial job was Rochester, New York. I worked for WHAM 1180, which is actually a Clear Channel station. I'm sure you can hear it in Toronto. It's heard in 38 states in Canada. So my mom used to sit and this is at night, obviously, used to sit in the driveway in our New Hampshire home and listen to me on the radio in the car. So it was a news job, and my first probably 10 years of radio were a mix of news and sports, but I'm really happy that I started in news because it taught me how to write. It taught me how to report. It taught me how to be objective and tell a story from every angle. Before I made the jump to full-time sports, I actually worked in news over the course of 9/11. So not just on that fateful day, but also in the months after. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. As a reporter, as a journalist, I wanted to work in news that day because that was how I could help the American people, how I could tell the stories, how I could stay connected with them. So I will never, ever regret the 10 years that I spent working in news and volunteering in sports, doing sports on the side. I didn't make the jump to full-time sports till 2002, but it's been almost 20 years, which is crazy.
I was just going to say that. It's like, that is crazy. I keep thinking about it. It's like my one nephew now, he's going to be 24 this year. And I'm like, oh my God, where's the time gone?
Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But one thing I'm going to say is sports. I'm a sports junkie or fanatic. It keeps me young. I find
Oh,
being into
good.
sports, it keeps me young. And it's like, and when you go to football games, baseball games, you meet people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So it's like, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting with fans in the stands again. It's going to be amazing to see that in baseball, more and more in basketball. Gary Bettman in the NHL just indicated that there would be fans in the stands or fans in the arenas by the playoffs. So that's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's great to know that we're emerging and we'll soon have that atmosphere back again at sporting events.
Okay. I was going to ask you about your play-by-play anyways, because I was reading up on you. What the one question I was going to ask you, what was the biggest adjustment you have had to make so far doing play-by-play?
Adjustment, you mean during the last year?
Just from like doing your regular radio show to doing play-by-play, did you find there was a lot of a difference or not that much of a difference?
Sure, there definitely is. The pace is completely different, but I actually started in play-by-play first. So my
Okay.
first sports jobs were play-by-play, and that's the other side of me. Sports radio, talk radio was never the goal. I stumbled into it because I'm good at it, number one. Number two, because I needed to find a full-time gig, and there aren't a lot of full-time play-by-play jobs out there. And so I as it turns out, I'm great at the talk radio thing, but play-by-play was always the dream. It's still the ultimate dream. I want to do play-by-play for an NBA team or do play-by-play at the NBA level. At least I used to. I don't know. It changes a lot, but play-by-play is still my first love. And so I started there in basketball. Whether you're talking about the fast pace and keeping up with the action as it goes up and down the court, whether you're talking about football where there's so many moving parts and there's not as much action, there's a lot of stops and pauses, but there's so many people out there on the field and so much happening all at once, or you're talking about baseball, which is more of a storytelling affair. I remember hearing this stat when I was younger. In a 3-hour baseball game, there are really only 6.5 minutes of actual play-by-play. The rest is all downtime. The rest is all about engaging with your audience. So it's much more like a talk show, believe it or not. So yeah, there are different elements to it, but the speed with which I talk, the speed with which my brain processes, I do everything fast. Basketball play-by-play has always been my first love, and I miss it desperately.
I was going to say, where I volunteer here in Canada with Rogers TV, they do have a play-by-play training course, and it got shut down with the COVID the past year. So I'm hoping once things get better here in the next few months, hopefully, I can get more involved with them again, because Rogers TV is a $1 billion company here in Canada, and it's a good place to learn from these guys.
Awesome. Well, I hope that for you too.
Thank you so much. Just get a few more questions. Is that okay? Are you okay for time?
A few more minutes. Believe it or not, I have not yet eaten today. So I've been up for 3.5 hours, but I haven't eaten yet. So my stomach starts to growl, but I can give you another couple minutes.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Yeah, because I'm going to get something to eat after too. Just my next question I was going to ask you, what was it like when you first got hired on by ESPN and then later on with CBS Sports Radio?
Well, CBS Sports Radio is the best career decision I ever made. To leave ESPN Radio after nearly a decade, I didn't fit the formula there anymore. It was much more of a box that I was supposed to stay in, kind of a square that I was supposed to stand in, and I became this round peg that didn't fit in the square hole anymore. Or I guess the opposite. I always get my cliches mixed up. But ESPN Radio taught me the semantics, taught me the techniques for national radio, taught me how to recognize my audience over not just the United States, but of course, north of the border in Canada. And then now with streaming and podcasting, we're talking about international listeners as well. So ESPN Radio taught me all of those tools and all of those tricks of the trade, so to speak. But CBS Sports Radio and the bosses who hired me to start 2013 when the network launched, they gave me the freedom to be creative. They gave me the freedom to design my own show. They gave me the freedom to be Amy. And that's where the confidence and the excitement, the enthusiasm really have come from, because it's wonderful to have bosses who believe in me. It's wonderful to have bosses who don't want me to be anything except for me. And it was good training ground at ESPN. And I'm so thankful for those years that I had there. It was a struggle. I was the only female voice who was doing talk shows. Christine Lisi, who I know that you are familiar with.
Yeah. Personal friend of her. And I actually worked with her cousins here where I work. So it's kind of a small world.
So she's a great voice. They're a longtime anchor. And of course, there are other women who work on the network now. But when I was there, I was the only one. And it was still a really desolate place for females. But even now at CBS Sports Radio, I'm the only woman who works for the network now that Dana Jacobson is gone. She was there for a couple of years, or for a year, I should say, but then left after 1 year. And so it's still kind of an industry or a format where there aren't a lot of women. And so I'm still forging my own path. But the belief that my bosses have in me has been incredible for the creative side of the business, for the creativity and the growth of the show. I'm allowed to take the show where I want it to go. I'm allowed to try. I'm allowed to fail. I'm allowed to have fun and try new ways to entertain the audience. And they really support me, which is invaluable.
And I've always liked listening to you on ESPN and CBS over the years, Amy. The reason I like you is it's not just your knowledge of sports, which is great, is you talk to people like they're your friend. You don't talk down to them, or they're like the majority of everybody's got a different style, but you talk to everyone like I feel like I've known you for 20 years.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Person.
Yeah, it's not life or death. It's not rocket science. We're not finding a cure for cancer. We're talking about sports. It's entertainment. And so I never, ever want to lose sight of the fact that my job is to entertain. It's not to alienate, though there are some people who don't want to hear a female talk about sports, or there are some who think that I should only be talking about sports. So not everyone's going to agree with me. I'm still relatively controversial, quote unquote. But it's I don't take it too seriously because it's not serious. It's sports talk radio, and it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be engaging. It's supposed to be light. I want it to be a distraction. I want it to be companionship. I want it to be a lifeline, especially over the last year. People struggle through so much, whether it's the pandemic or whether it's personal, professional. It's an opportunity to give people an escape and to reach out to and to allow them to have some fun. And so that's how I want to keep it. I want to keep it light, and I definitely don't want to take it too seriously.
And like I said, not everyone's always going to agree with you. I had someone the other night, and I just said we're going to disagree to a disagree, and it's good.
We're going to disagree to disagree.
We're going to disagree to a disagree. Yeah, like it's basically like so. Everybody's got their own opinions, and the key is to treat people with kindness and respect their opinions, even though they might not agree. You might not agree with them.
Yeah, I don't think everybody has that same viewpoint, Chris, but I'm glad that you do.
Well, that's how I was brought up. So, Amy, can I just 2 more questions?
Okay.
2 more, and I promise. The next one I was going to ask you, favorite personality you've worked with so far and favorite interview you've done so far.
There's no way. There's absolutely no way. I cannot pick one interview. That's impossible. I can give you a handful, but there's no way I can narrow it down. It's 20 plus years of working in sports broadcasting. There's no way I can give you one. But my favorite interviews that I've done are the ones that come in the heat of the moment. My favorite interviews are the ones with athletes who have just accomplished something incredible, and you're getting all of that emotion. You're getting all of that excitement. I will tell you something funny. I was once doing a Sunday night post-game show on CBS Sports Radio, and we were expecting to get a player inside the Seattle Seahawks locker room after a big Week 17 win, and instead the phone gets handed to Pete Carroll. And so here I am doing an interview with Pete Carroll without any prep other than having watched the game. And he was hysterical. He was so funny, a ball of energy like he always is. I remember talking to, Dallas Braden after he pitched a perfect game on Mother's Day, which was also a flood of emotion for him. So that one was pretty amazing. Just to again, get all of his emotion balled up into that one experience when it happened. So that goes back probably 10 years now. But yeah, to speak to him right on the heels of a perfect game on Mother's Day, especially when he had lost his mother not that long before that, that was another pretty incredible opportunity. And I will tell you that I enjoy doing interviews with people who are different and off the beaten path. So Olympians, I love to hear about their competing for the red, white, and blue. And I know you're in Canada, but you can understand the national pride. So I really enjoy talking to Olympians. I love to tell stories, whether they're positive and they're optimistic and they're fun and they're triumphant, or whether they're the opposite. So I remember going back to the scandal that gripped USA Gymnastics and all of the accusations that were leveled at coaches, as well as Larry Nassar, who was a team doctor for years, and the number of young women who were finally feeling confident and emboldened enough to share their stories about abuse. And I spoke with Dominique Moceanu, who was a gymnastics icon, and just allowing her to tell her story, allowing her to explain what had been covered up for so many years. So it's about allowing people a platform to share. And if you can get them to be confident and comfortable enough with you, I mean, the number of football players and basketball players that I've been able to learn from in interviews has been phenomenal over the years. So I can't pick one. Talking to Sarah Thomas in the last 24 hours was phenomenal. So that one was pretty amazing. But again, there have been so many interviews in the heat of the moment or right on the heels of a big game that those are the kind of ones where you can feel that adrenaline coming through the radio. As for my favorite personality I've ever worked with, Freddie Coleman is he's a huge personality at ESPN Radio, and he and I got hired about the same time in Bristol, and so we were growing up on the job together. He's always been a great supporter and a great friend. I never did shows with Scott Farrell, but he's an ally as well. To have support from someone who is established in the industry and who was really a rebel in the industry for so long, it's one of those things in this business where women were rare, at least those of us who have established ourselves as personalities. And it's a fight for respect all the time. It's been this way my entire career. So to have men who support me and who believe in me, another one would be John Kincaid, who's now in Philadelphia, but he and I worked together first in Bristol and then also at CBS Sports Radio together. He's been great and been a great supporter. So those are just a few names, people that I've really enjoyed working with over the years. There are many more people behind the scenes that I could never even tell you about, but producers who relish the challenge of working with someone who was relatively unknown, but it was also a female and was different. Those producers and bosses have also meant the world to me.
And one of my other female radio people over the years, and now
your other female radio people.
The ones I originally, before I started listening to you, was Susan Wolman from WFAN 660 in New York City. She's definitely a pioneer.
Of course, and now she's part of the Yankees broadcast with John Sterling for years and years.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for her too. And like I said, I like TV. I like TV, but I kind of like the radio aspect of it.
Yeah, radio is my first love. It will always be.
So, 2 quick questions and I'm done. I promise.
Wait, you said 2 quick questions before.
Okay.
One more. I'll give you one more.
Okay, we'll go with one more, and maybe I can get you to come back on again in the future, and we'll talk a little bit more about your Denver Broncos. Okay, favorite band and solo artist you like to listen to?
Favorite band and solo artist? Well,
I like favorite. Yep, sorry.
You want one of each?
One of each, yeah.
Okay. I love Casting Crowns, who is a Christian group. And I also love Backstreet Boys. I used to be a closet Backstreet Boys fan. I'm no longer closet. Now I just love Backstreet Boys. Let's see. Individual singers. Tim McGraw is probably my favorite individual solo entertainer, though to hear him sing with Faith Hill is amazing. I've been an Amy Grant fan for longer than I can even explain, going back to when I was a little bitty kid and my mom would let me listen to Amy Grant. So she's also a personal favorite. And I'm trying to think of some maybe newer artists that I enjoy. I like Luke Bryan. I'm a big country music fan. I also I also think Adele is extremely talented, Celine Dion. So yeah, my tastes are fairly eclectic, but Christian music, K-Love music, and then also country are probably my favorites.
Okay, I'm more of classic rock, 70s and 80s. Bob Seger, Metallica, Def Leppard, all those bands. So,
The big hair bands.
or any music that's upbeat, like puts you in a better mood.
Good. Yeah, for sure. When I'm running, I appreciate that.
Okay, and I'm going to let you go, but do you have any advice for anyone that's watching this tonight?
Hey, that's another question.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Advice about what?
For anyone that's looking, not just me, looking to pursue a career in broadcast media.
Find your passion. Find your passion. There are a lot of different ways that you can go in this business. There are a lot of different ways that you can get plugged in and that you can be impactful. But if you don't have a passion for it, it won't last. The business is hard. The industry is littered with people who gave up because it's a difficult road. It's a lot of competition. There's not a lot of money in it until you get to the extreme upper levels. And I'm not there. I don't do it for the money. I still live paycheck to paycheck. It's a brutal industry. And if you don't have a passion, you will not survive. So figure out what you love, figure out what you're passionate about, and that will get you through when things are not easy and when things don't look as though they're going to break your way.
Okay, I really appreciate that. And like I said, a lot of my other guests, and I've even had Freddie Coleman on, he said the same thing to me as well. So, but I was going to say, Amy, I'm going to let you go because I like to talk much, but I really appreciate you giving me some time to come on 30 Minutes Live with CDP, and maybe in the future.
30 minutes. We've been on the phone for 40. So how do you do 30 minutes in 40?
I'm going to have to change it to 40 Minutes Live with CDP. But I was going to say, maybe in the future, you might be able to come back on again in the future and maybe talk more about your Denver Broncos.
We'll see. I don't always want to talk about the Denver Broncos.
Okay. I'm an Eagles fan, but like I said, win or lose, I still love them.
Of course. That's what it means to be a sports fan.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go, but I hope you have a great evening and weekend. And thank you so much for coming on 30 Minutes Live with CDP. I know I should change the name of my show to 50 Minutes.
You're welcome, Chris. I appreciate the time and thank you for your interest in having me.
Okay. You have a good night. We'll keep in touch. Thank you so much, Amy.
Good night.
Good night. Anyways, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on. Amy Lawrence for coming on 30 Minutes Live with CDP. I guess I went about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, but thank you so much, Amy. I hope everybody enjoyed this interview tonight with Amy. You can catch her on CBS Sports Radio or their app. She's on Monday to Friday from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And like I said, and you can tune in. Those are the hours, and you can even call in as well. So, but anyways, guys, like I said, who's ever watching, I'm going to wrap this up shortly, but I do have a few trivia questions. And this is for my friend Trevor. I don't think I have any comments on here right now. Okay, I'm going to do some trivia, and then we're going to call it a night. Let's see. First question is, what major league player retired with the same number of home runs as his father? That's the first trivia question for you, Trevor. Okay. The second question is, who was the captain of the Detroit Red Wings before Steve Yzerman took over in 1986? I'll give you guys a clue. That player was a former Buffalo Sabre. And my third trivia question tonight is, where the Detroit Pistons originally located? The Detroit Pistons moved to Detroit in 1957, but which city and state were they originally located? And on my fourth trivia question tonight, this is a Detroit Lions question. What Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970s? Unfortunately, he didn't make the Lions. He got cut, but I figured I'd ask you guys anyways. So I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to answer my questions, and then I will post the answers on here. So, but anyways, guys, again, thank you, Amy Lawrence from CBS Sports Radio, After Hours with Amy Lawrence coming on. I apologize, Amy, if I went over 30 minutes. I got to work on that, but I love talking, and you're great. Amy's a pioneer in talk sports radio, our sports talk radio for women, and hopefully there'll be more women in that industry very soon. There is more on TV now as well. My next show, it will be Wednesday, March 17th. Guest to be announced still and time to be announced. So we'll see what happens there. And with Amy, you can check out her website, CBS Sports Radio /host/after hours with Amy Lawrence. Anyways, guys, like I said, we'll see what happens, but I will put on my trivia question and answers in just a moment. Like I said, guys, I do have some, and I have a couple of comedians coming up. I have my friend Grace Fraga coming up on Saturday, March 20th, and then I have my friend Lana Turner coming on Saturday, March 27th. And I have some more guests coming on top of that. So anyways, guys, like I said, I'm going to give you my trivia question and answers in a minute. We'll post the trivia questions again briefly. Which major league player retired with the same number of home runs as his father? Who was the captain of the Red Wings before Steve Yzerman took over in '86? And my third trivia question, where were the Detroit Pistons originally located? They moved to Detroit in '57. And the last one is, what Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970? So I'm going to give you guys a minute and see if you can answer them. And like I said, I just want to say I enjoyed tonight's show. And like I said, guys, I'll have a next show Wednesday, March 17th. And maybe March 19th as well. I do have more guests coming on. So anyways, guys, and I'm going to post these trivia questions now. Okay. CDP trivia answers. Prince Fielder and Cecil Fielder, his dad, 319 career home runs each. My second answer was Danny Gear was the Detroit Red Wings captain before Steve Yzerman took over in 1986. Danny Gear also played for the Buffalo Sabres, and his numbers retired by the Buffalo Sabres. And the Detroit Pistons originally came from Fort Wayne, Indiana. They were known as the Fort Wayne Pistons. And then what Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970? And that would be the late Marvin Gaye. So anyways, those are my answers to my trivia questions. Trevor, if you're watching this, I hope you enjoy it. So anyways, guys, I'm going to call it a night, but I will see you guys here Wednesday, March 17th, and I'll have a show on Friday, March 19th and the 20th. So next week, I'm going to probably have 3 shows, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So anyways, I'm going to call it a night, guys. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday night. And I will send you guys a message this weekend and let you know the time and who my guest is going to be on Wednesday, March 17th. But anyways, again, I hope you all enjoyed watching this live podcast tonight with Amy Lawrence. And whoever watches this later tonight or next week, thank you so much for being a fan of 30 Minutes Live with CDP. All right, guys, take care. Have a good night and a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Go Tigers.